Reds breaking out the big lumber. 10 runs, 14 hits, and got it rolling right from the get-go. En route to ending the 8-game losing streak and winning the opener here last night at Miller Park in Milwaukee. 10-4 the final, and here we go, round 2. We welcome you. Very chilly on the outside, perfect inside. Reds and Brew Crew set to go. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. A number of guys starting to swing the bats a little bit better. It might only be the last couple of days or 3 days, but you have to get going at some time. And one of those is a guy that's really been producing the last couple of years, and that's been Adam Duvall.
Well, when you have your guys in the middle of the lineup beginning to hit better, your whole team is going to be better. And Duvall is certainly hitting pretty well right now. Seeing the big, you know what Duvall does as well as anybody who's a slugger. He hits the mistake pitches. You know, if you throw great pitches, you're going to get most guys out, and Duvall's in that category. But oh, if you make a mistake, hang a breaking ball, hit a fastball down the middle, he's right there with the barrel of the bat, and he's seeing it very big right now.
All right, let's turn our attention now to the pitching matchup tonight. The Reds, they were waiting on Luis Castillo to get going. His last couple of starts have been much better, and now they're hoping that Sal Romano can make a step in that same direction.
Well, Luis Castillo looked a little better last night because he looked more relaxed, at least in my mind he did. And I think that's the one step that Sal Romano needs to take. Be relaxed in the very beginning. You know, he's a big emotional guy, and sometimes he lets things kind of speed up for him in the first inning. And you see what he's done here in the first inning. He's had big-time problems. But when he gets past the first inning, gets the edge off a little bit, he's able to back off, use that good sinker, good slider, work in the changeup. He's got plenty good enough stuff. He just has to believe it's good enough without having to throw 110%. Junior Guerra is the right-hander that he will face tonight. He's making his first start. He was down in Omaha for his last start, and I'll tell you what, here's a guy that last year was their opening day starter. He got hurt at the plate running out a ground ball bunt, and he missed 2 months of the season, and it was a year that he would like to forget. Fastball not overpowering, gets a lot of fly balls. Split finger fastball is his main pitch, and that's what the Reds will be looking for tonight.
All right, when we come back, I mean, whether you're talking about Brandon Phillips from the old days, Joey Votto, or Billy Hamilton, there's only one guy to turn to if you want the inside scoop. And that's our main man, who will touch base with us next. That's Jim Day.
by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good, it's Skyline time. Game 2 of a 3-game set. Reds and Brewers coming up from Milwaukee. Jesse Winker returned to the batter's box last night as a pinch hitter, and tonight he will return to the starting lineup. He'll be starting in right field and hitting second, coming back from a shoulder injury. And he will be batting behind Billy Hamilton, who of late has seen some resurgence at the plate. You look at his last 6 at-bats, it's our IGS bringing the energy and exactly what the Reds have been looking for. Last 6 ABs, starting in the 8th inning on Sunday, which was a home run. 3 for 6 over that time. He's driven in 4 runs, and he scored 3 runs. Talk about him setting the table and being the igniter for this Reds offense. He has been that, and he talked about a change of approach.
Talking to a couple guys, and I was just like, man, like I don't feel like I'm never on time. I always feel like I'm late, and I was I'm gonna go up here. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to think about put my hands or my stance set in the box, or if I want to hit the ball to the right field, if I want to hit the ball to the left field. I'm gonna just go up there and use my ability and just see just see it and hit it in reaction.
So less thinking, more reacting. He has 2 career leadoff home runs, and 1 came off of Brewers starter tonight, Junior Guerra. He will lead off when we come back. Reds and Brewers, Tom and Chris with the call.
Better last night after the Reds finally ended that losing streak. Had a big win and hoping to keep that going here tonight. Let's take it the Reds starting lineup presented by Nissan. Hamilton in the leadoff spot, as Jim mentioned. Winker is back in the lineup and in right. Votto at first, Duvall the cleanup hitter. Scooter at second. Mesoraco a start tonight, and the latter third of Peraza. Cliff Pennington at third, and Romano on the mound. Second start for Junior Guerra since they brought him up from the minor leagues. First one was a good one. 5 1/3, 4 hits, only 1 run, fan 4, walk 2.
Guerra's an experienced guy, even though he has not had all that much major league experience. He's 33 years old. Tonight he makes start number 36 of his major league career. He really didn't get going in professional baseball until he was 21, signed out of Venezuela, missed several years due to testing positive for PEDs and playing all over the world, really trying to keep the dream alive. But he was the opening day pitcher last year. very capable of a good ball game, but not a high velocity, overpowering pitcher. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Mainly, though, a split finger fastball that has nice downward motion.
All right, so here we go. Billy Hamilton to start things. Billy, a real good night last night. By far his best game of the year. On base 3 times, knocked in 3 runs, shows a 1-ball-1. This one underway.
I thought the comments that he made in the Jim Day interview were so insightful. I mean, Billy has had so much advice from so many different people, you know, over such a long period of time. He finally decided, he told me behind the batting cage today, basically, all I'm doing is going up there and looking for the baseball. And I reminded them that Ken Griffey Jr. sometimes, when he went to the plate, wasn't sure who was on the mound. He just looked for the ball and hit the ball. And when it all comes down to it, that's the most important thing.
Outside, 37 degrees. It's in the 20s in the wind chill.
Hey, Josh.
And about 65 inside Miller Park. Guerra in front of Hamilton at 1 ball 2 strikes. And now the count even. Reds 3 wins on the year, 13 losses. Milwaukee for the first time under 500 all year after the loss here last night. 8 up, 9 down. Garrett taking a long time in between pitches, and Billy says hang on a minute. Garrett still looking in there, and now the 2-2 delivery got him swinging to start the ball game. Milwaukee on defense behind Garrett tonight, and they have a few of the regulars back in there tonight. We did not see Braun last night. He's been bothered with a stiff back. Kane in center, Santana in right. We did not see Eric Thames last night. He's been bothered by a sore hip. Sogard also gets a start. VR was in there last night, and it's the first big league start for the catcher tonight as well. Jacob Nottingham. He made his major league debut coming into the game here last night. Now Winker, 250 batter without an extra base hit. He has 4 runs batted in, but he's walked 9 times, been hit a couple of times, and his on base percentage is at .413. That's been a while since Jesse has started a game. In fact, it's been nearly a week. It's when the team was in Philadelphia. He's had a sore right shoulder. Be checking in with Jim Day on a number of injuries and some updated news. Scott Schebler along with David Hernandez.
Well, the shoulder for Jesse Winker was one that, and you're looking at Eugenio Suarez, who's got a legitimate fractured thumb. But you know what he did, Winker that is, was injure himself diving for a ball way back against the Chicago Cubs. Ended up having a bruised rotator cuff out of that and had a very hard time swinging the bat. Tried to play through it. He played some pretty good baseball. Of course, he walks a lot, has good stage presence at the plate, but it got to the point where you just couldn't swing the bat.
And 1 on Winker, and he takes ball 4, and that is now his 10th walk of this year. That's why that on base percentage is so high. Well, it's been pretty much feast or famine. A couple of times the Reds have seen Junior Guerra over the last year and a half. Go back to May of 16, 6 innings, 4 runs, beautifully in September that same year. But then last year, as Chris mentioned, was nearly a lost year for Guerra. They actually let him go during the offseason. He was picked up by the Chicago White Sox, and then they turned him loose. And here's Guerra after coming over from the White Sox. In fact, he was the first player acquired under the general manager David Stearns. And of course, he replaced longtime GM Doug Melvin. Doug Melvin and Walt Jocketty, very, very close friends, and they get together every time the Reds come into town. And Walt is on this trip with the Reds right now, as is general manager Dick Williams. Joey at 250 got his first extra base hit of the season here last night. He had a double to drive in a run in that 6-run 6th inning. As you can tell, Guerra is clearly one of the most deliberate pitchers on the mound in all of baseball. He is a 180 from the Brewers starter here last night, the Cincinnati native Brent Suter.
Well, I mean, you have his slow pace, and even more so complicated by the fact that he's not really aggressively going after the hitters in the strike zone. Works the count now to Joey Votto, 3-0, and we know that Votto likes to swing the bat in this count.
Back-to-back walks issued by Guerra, and the Bluebirds are out early here at Miller Park. The Brewers have not played well here this year. On the road, they have won 6 of the 9 games they have played. Here at home, Craig Counsell's team has lost 6 of the 8 games they played. And man, they were really, really good here last year. And by the way, for Joey Votto, that is walk number 1,000. So last night he picked up his 1,600th hit, his 1,000th walk. See, Votto's not even on that list for the most walks on the Reds team so far this year.
Looking for a good first pitch right here.
We mentioned last night that Votto joins Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols as baseball's only active players with at least 1,600 hits and 1,000 walks. And as far as Reds history is concerned, the only Red that's ever walked 1,000 times until now, Peter Edward Rose, who just celebrated a birthday a few days ago. On the inside corner. Boy, back-to-back really good pitches after needing a compass to find a strike zone for Guerra.
Of course, Guerra's probably thinking to himself right here, I've got ahead in the count. I'm in control. I've got a couple of runners on base. I throw a nice little split finger pitch right here. I get a ground ball and I'm out of the inning. Duvall's looking for something he can elevate.
Ball stung to center field, but right there to get it, Lorenzo Cain. That's a loud out for Adam Duvall.
Boy, Garrett is just completely off with his control. After walking 2 batters in a row, he comes right back and gets 0-2 to Adam Duvall, and then on an 0-2 pitch, throws it basically right down Broadway to him. Nice little murmur when Scooter Gennett is announced.
Broke into the big leagues, of course, Gennett did, as a good player for this Milwaukee team. Had some very good moments, some not so good moments. And it turned out they felt they had some other players that were capable of playing that second base position. So the Reds claimed him last year at the end of spring training. And it turned out to be one of the best pickups, at least as far as a first season goes, that the Reds have ever had in their franchise history. He was spectacular last year and off to a good start this year. 2 away in the inning. Reds looking for a 2-out hit from the former Brewers Scooter Gennett. 0-1 the count, and Garrett to the plate. Fastball low and away. Straight up in the air and hit a long way. Kane, though, just at the edge of the track, will haul it in. Couple of walks, couple left. Big Sal Romano takes a hill when we come back.
Get that last out of the first inning instead of just letting my stuff work. Unfortunately, that I've been, like I said before, I've been one pitch away or one out away from getting out of the first inning without any harm. So just gotta stay positive and just do what I gotta do.
Let's see if Sal Romano can get off to a good start. It's been the early part of games where he's had his issues so far in his 3 outings this year.
Well, he's not the first pitcher, and he won't be the last that has had problems in the first inning. It's very common, and not only among young pitchers. Some guys have just first inning problems their entire career. And there's no secret formula. You just keep battling at it, making good pitches, and you treat it just like any other inning.
Lorenzo Cain back into the leadoff spot here tonight. He hit the 2-0 behind VR last night.
I always thought it was interesting, though, what Bronson Arroyo used to do to start a ball game off. He would throw basically a batting practice fastball, very first pitch of the game, and just to kind of let him know that it's not that big a deal. I'm not that wound up.
Saw Bronson in town over the weekend last weekend. He'll be in Cincinnati for a little while.
In fact, I think it was in this ballpark that he might have thrown out to Brett Gross on the very first pitch, and Gross and Bronson were previously teammates, and Gross knew that the first pitch was coming, was a BP pitch, and lined it out of here for a home run. I have to look that one up, but as I remember it, that's the way it went.
Fouled away again by Lorenzo Cain.
I mentioned this last night, Tom. This is one of the few ballparks where we have the center field camera directly behind pitcher's mound. Looks like it's a little bit off tonight, but I mean, it's very close. And what you're able to see is the real movement on the pitcher's pitches. Romano's got a lot of tail. And got the outside corner with that one. Cain gave up on that one, thinking it was headed for the outer part away from the plate, and it just kind of came back a little bit.
So here's Eric Thames. We told you he's been bothered by tenderness in the hip area. Hooks this one to the right side, and that's Peraza, the shortstop, coming all the way in front of Gillette to gobble it up. The first two gone as we look at Craig Counsell's starting lineup tonight, presented by Nissan. Kane, Thames, and Braun back in the lineup. Coming up now, Travis Shaw, a native Buckeye, is at third. Santana in right. Sogard, the second baseman. Arcia, Nottingham, his first major league start, and Guerra is on the mound. So let's see if Sal Romano can pick him up and put him down in order here in the opening inning. That'd be a nice way to get it going for the big fella from Connecticut. Braun off to a very, very slow start. He does have 3 home runs with 8 runs batted in. He has a total of 9 hits and 51 at bats. I mean, this guy, you know, you like him, you don't like him. The whole ordeal he went through a number of years ago with a PED situation. And there was so much to that story besides just the fact that he ended up being suspended. But he is the all-time franchise leader, 305 home runs. He's in the top 5 in virtually every category: RBIs, extra base hits, runs, total bases, doubles, triples, stolen bases, hits, walks, at bats, you name it. He's right there in every single category. Started 2, and the home plate umpire said he went around at strike 3. Really, really good start for Romano. No score at the end of 1. The energy. Billy Hamilton. We'll go back to that graphic here in a minute. His last 6 at bats starting in the 8th inning on Sunday. But for the first time, the Reds ended an 8-game losing streak with at least 10 runs and 14 hits since they did it in 2001 against the Brewers. Look at some of the names in that game at night: Casey, Aaron Boone, Pokey Reese, Ken Griffey Jr.
Pretty good lineup.
That's the second time in the last 4 days where Devin Mesoraco has been drilled with a pitch. Of course, it happened over the weekend against St. Louis. How about the one against St. Louis? Initially looked like it might have been really bad. Let's see.
Well, it certainly looked painful. This one you could hear all the way up here where we are at the 3rd level. You know, the thing about it is, and I'm not saying that Mesoraco dives into the pitch, but he certainly leaves himself open to be hit. When that pitch runs right in there on him, and that was in off the plate, no question. But I mean, you see more and more hitters turning, and they end up having their hands almost in the strike zone. It's a very dangerous thing to happen, and hopefully he's going to be all right.
You know, it's funny you say that. Brian Price was talking about that very same issue at length before the game yesterday. He talked about all the great hitters back when pitchers really used to come inside regularly. You were playing back in those days, but even before then. And how, you know, you'd have the guys like Ron Hunt, Don Baylor, guys like that that get hit 250, 270 times in their career. But, you know, now it seems they're all getting hit in the hands because of what you were talking about, the thumb. We've seen Suarez in the wrist, more so than the shoulders, where they used to teach you about turning back towards the umpire if a ball was coming in tight rather than diving into the ball.
You never see that anymore.
No, you never do.
I mean, the only time a guy will get hit on the back is when it really gets away from the pitcher or it's intentional. But nowadays, the guys that get hit are hitting in the hands because they turn and their hands end up closer to the plate than the rest of their body.
So after Guerra walks 2 in the 1st inning, hits the first batter here in the 2nd inning, Peraza pops up on the very first pitch of his at bat. And now the batter is Cliff Pennington. Pennington making his 5th start. 4 of the 5 have come as a third baseman. His first start was as a shortstop in the 1 game played against the Chicago Cubs. Two balls and a strike on Pennington. And now 3-1. I mean, Guerra is all over the place tonight. Now, he did get down to business against Duvall and Jeanette after he had walked a couple of batters. Duvall hit the ball very hard, and Scooter lifted a fly ball to the deepest part of left center field, caught at the edge of the track. He's hit Mesoraco here in this inning and fallen behind 3-1 to the number 8 hitter Cliff Pennington. And hooked to the right side. There's one. Arcia with a cannon, but not in time to get Pennington. So they swap places, give away an out, and the pitcher will bat with 2 away. Romano is hitless in his first 5 at bats this season.
Interesting to note, really, for the Brewers tonight that the battery mates that are out there, Guerra and Nottingham, got up and did it together the last, 5 days ago when he pitched down at AAA. Nottingham is their top prospect, or one of the top prospects in the organization. But anyway, the point being that Nottingham and Guerra have probably worked together probably more than anybody else on this club. So Craig Counsell given a shot to try to get Nottingham a little big league time in with a start here tonight.
Nothing in 2 on Romano. What got him either bouncing up, hitting him in the hand, or thumb, maybe?
Yeah, the start that Nottingham caught Guerra was back on April the 5th when their AAA team played at Omaha. He's pitched last against the Cardinals here in the big leagues. Pretty good location there.
No score after an inning and a half.
Up in the infield tonight, Pennington, Peraza, Jeanette, Votto, and Mesoraco. And speaking of Scooter Jeanette, the ever colorful Scooter Jeanette, he recently had a DNA test, and he just got the results back. And it wasn't a surprise to him that it said that he's mostly Italian, but it came back that he was 0.5% unknown, as it said. And he went around and asked some other people that got a DNA test, hey, did you get your results back? And it said, part of you is unknown. And they said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, in the clubhouse, they turned around and said, listen, Scooter, we always knew you were part alien.
To pop up on the first pitch. Please continue, Jim. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Well, he's a guy that he dishes it out a lot and takes it a lot. So 0.5% unknown, and if you've been around him, the mouth is going constant. And some things that come out of his mouth, you just kind of question and kind of laugh. Scooter being Scooter. So they're wondering if he's 0.5% alien.
It's good stuff. Real good stuff. Jim was teasing that during Reds Live, and he had the boys back in Cincinnati sort of tongue-tied. Here's Domingo Santana as Travis Shaw's retired to start the 2nd inning. Romano with a fastball in there, strike. Santana without a home run. He clobbered 30 of them a year ago. To the glove side for Pennington. 5 straight retired by Sal Romano.
Yeah, a lot of strikes early on for Sal. Last time out, walked 4 in his outing, and that is something I'm sure that he's always had good control coming through the minor leagues for a big guy, and big guys sometimes have a hard time controlling their body because it's real easy to get out of whack when you're as big and tall as Sal Romano is. But he pounds the bottom of that zone, and the infielders, they're going to have their work tonight if he's right.
Now Sogard, the second baseman, just 5 hits in his first 32 at-bats. Sogard came into the game as a pinch hitter last night. It was a big situation when he came up there. At the time, it was still just a 3-0 game in the 5th. Fred Counsell decided to hit for his pitcher Brent Suter with 2 on and 2 out. And Castillo got Sogard on a ground ball to Joey Votto.
This is Sogard's 8th different major league season. He's never really been an everyday player, although he did play in 130 games a few years ago for the Oakland A's.
Slapped into left field, and that's the first base runner of the night against Romano.
Very typical at bat for this left-handed hitting infielder. Sogard went to Arizona State, drafted by the Padres, then traded to the Oakland A's, and came over here as a free agent a couple of years ago.
Arcia 10 for his first 52, has a home run and 6 runs batted in. So far, his story this year has not been necessarily how well he's hit. It's been when he's hit. He's had 3 game-winning base hits from the 9th inning or later. And that one, a zoom ball out of the hand of Sal Romano.
Wow. Like a runaway beer truck.
So up in this town, you'd find about 9 guys that jump in front of it to make sure they can get what's in it. think I saw a few of them last night. All right, runner in scoring position, 2-0 on Arcia. And Romano, a look back. And a hard hit ball, but at the shortstop Peraza. And that's all for the Brewers in the second. We played 2 at Miller Park. And we are scoreless. And on Saturday, May the 5th, be one of the first 20,000 fans through the gates. You'll receive a Eugenio Suarez bobblehead presented by John Morrell. You can be there for as low as $12 for tickets. Visit Reds.com. No score. Top of the order for the Reds in the third. Billy Hamilton struck out his first time up. Junior Guerra going to work. Strike one. Reds without a hit. They do have 3 base runners through the front 2 innings, 2 walks and a hit batter. Winker, then Votto. Over near the Reds' third base side dugout, and room enough for Travis Shaw to gather it in. 1 away. Winker, his first start since last Thursday. That was the first game of the St. Louis series. He did pinch run, you may remember, in Sunday's 9th inning 1-run loss, and then was used as a pinch hitter after some light batting practice before the game yesterday to give him the okay to play, making his 11th start of this season. 8 of those 11 have come as a right fielder. Strike one. Jesse, one of 5 rookies on the Reds opening day roster, along with Malley. Jackson Stevens was here. Zach Weiss and, of course, Phillip Ervin is still technically a rookie. Winker's starting to resemble a hockey goalie up there. That one reaches the seats. I mean, he's got padding on the inside of his right shin. He's now got the padding on that right elbow. Slow roller off the mound, Arcia. Boy, he is a slick fielding shortstop. There is no debate about that, and he has an absolute cannon for an arm. Joey Votto walked the 1,000th of his career, his first plate appearance tonight. And you see, going back to 1900, among National Leaguers, only Joe Morgan played in fewer games than Joey Votto before reaching 1,000 walks. The great Joe Morgan,
who was probably dialed in and watching this ball game tonight
from just outside of Oakland, California. Votto, by the way, is the 119th major leaguer with over 1,000 walks. To give you an idea, and a lot of fans are a little too young to remember the solid decade plus of Barry Bonds' just dominance of Major League Baseball. Barry Bonds walked in his career nearly 2,600 times. Votto has just hit 1,000. 2,600. That's Major League Baseball's all-time walks leader. There's a laser into right center, going to be cut off by Santana, and a 2-out single for Joey Votto. Bonds broke the record that was held just before him by the Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson.
You know, Tom, I think you made a really good point. We were talking all between innings about Votto and about, you know, when you get to 1,000 walks and comparing him to Pete Rose and getting 1,000 walks and so on. But, you know, when you walk as much as Votto, you limit the number of base hits you accumulate during your major league career. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You know, and if you want to get on base, you got to get on base any way you can, but you're not out there accumulating the hits. So, you know, the 3,000 hit club,
sure,
for a guy that walks a lot, it is an awfully tough thing to get to.
Very, very tough. Now, you know, we also were talking in that conversation, unless you're a guy like Joe Morgan, Pete Rose, Ricky Henderson, that plays 24, 23 years, and by and large, you know, you're not hurt for extended periods of time. Barry Bonds in his career had 2,935 hits, but you got to remember, he broke in 1986, was an everyday player, and was an everyday player playing 150, 144, 159, 151, a lot like Votto does. But even Bonds' final season in 2007, 22 years in his career. And all the walks, the most in the history of, I mean, think about that for a minute. 2,900 hits and 2,600 walks. Those are the career numbers of one Barry Bonds. His career on-base percentage was .444.
Well, Barry Bonds was an everyday player at age 21. Joey Votto did not become an everyday player until he was 24. So it gives him a 3-year head start right there.
And really, the seasonal numbers, you know, Bonds was walking, he walked one year 232 times. That was in 2004. 2-1 the count on Duvall. Pulled foul. Duvall taking on Guerra today, brought to you by AARP. In his career, 3 of 9 going into the game today with a home run, 3 knocked in. Duvall, the only Major League Baseball player to have multiple home runs off Junior Guerra. No score. We are in the top of the 3rd inning, and Guerra okays a sign with Nottingham. Votto at first with 2 away. 3-2. On swinging is at him. Third strikeout for Guerra. Middle of the third, no score at Miller Park. Your experience to catch every moment this year. Download MLB at Bat today. Jacob Nottingham to begin things against Sal Romano here in the Milwaukee third inning. Romano has struck out 2, not walked a batter, allowed a hit. No score in the game. Reds and Brewers will wrap up this 3-game series with an afternoon game tomorrow. Romano, the big fella, over to pick it up, cuts it loose. Big man moving around out there a little bit.
2 big men running, really. 2 big men in that play. Romano running after the swinging bunt by Nottingham. Gets it, sets, plants, and throws a BB down to Joey Votto. Nottingham, on the other hand, a catcher. And the fact that he's a big kind of lumbering guy down the line, it gave Sal just an extra moment or 2 to get that play together.
Tell you what, though, for a catcher, that guy didn't move too badly getting up that line. All right, so now pitcher v. pitcher, Guerra.
Well, he's 23.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. He's still a young guy.
After he catches a few thousand innings, let's check him out.
That's right. Guerra makes contact, 0 for 2 in his first start at the plate. 2 ball has it, 2 away. This has to be so encouraging. And look, nothing's guaranteed. Everybody knows that. We don't know what will happen in this 3rd inning, the 4th inning, the 5th inning, and so forth. But the bottom line is, we showed you in his 3 starts this year, Romano in the 1st inning allowed 6 runs. He had allowed 11 runs total all year. So here we are through 2 2/3 innings. He's allowed 1 hit 1 time through the order and not a single run. But work to do as Lorenzo Cain settles in. He struck out his first time up and strike 1 the fastball here.
Well, the one telling thing about Romano, you know, he's a sinker ball pitcher, so he's a guy that, you know, you want to see a certain number of ground balls out of him. The only 2 fly balls the Brewers have tonight. Opposite field fly ball by a left-handed hitting Travis Shaw, and the other by the opposing pitcher. Everything else either a strikeout or on the ground. I'm still not a big believer in this new trend that they say is around baseball, where guys are actually trying to lift the ball, because if it's down around the hollow of your kneecaps, there's not a lot of lifting going on.
I think it's more than just a trend. It seems like everywhere you go, with the exception maybe of a stop here or a stop there.
There's a few teams that don't buy into it, and I think there are a lot of players that don't buy into it. I think really what it means is that when you get a pitch up, that's the one you really go after and try to hit that one up in the air. You're not trying to lift balls that are down around the knees, or else you're basically going to groove a golf swing.
Well, Joey Votto has talked about that. He's not necessarily a big fan of it. And he's a pretty good source to talk about hitting with.
Yeah, but you know, he's one style of hitter.
That's right.
And there may be another guy that is a completely different style that believes in that.
Pennington to his left, and a 1-2-3 third for Romano. Pitching duel on in Milwaukee tonight.
Sports Ohio is brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Cold outside, but quite pleasant in the dome here, unless you're in the Reds bullpen. They are bundled up down there because, as Jared Hughes tells me, and he's a veteran of that place down there, that they have some windows underneath that you can't really see that are open that create a wind tunnel out there. And he took, as you can see, a winter hat. He took some mittens. They take hand warmers out there. They do anything they can do to stay warm. And relievers have to stay warm during the game because you never know when they're going to come in. Look out. I think that hit the roof.
It did. It did hit the roof. It hit one of the wires. And Sogard stayed with it and was able to make the catch. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in this building before. Obviously, it has happened before. It's so high up in the air that when it hit one of the wires up there, it was almost like a balloon, where then it popped back into the air even a little higher to give the fielder plenty enough time to get underneath it.
You know, in domes like this, and going back to the very first dome that baseball was played in consistently down in the Astrodome, it's always a good idea for fielders never to take their eye off a ball when you're playing indoors, because it's very difficult to pick up. And a nice blue day, you know, outside with a couple of clouds in the sky, it's easy to take your eye off the ball, then pick the ball back up. But here you've got rafters and cables and cross beams and so on. And by the way, if the ball does strike the roof truss, roof cable, over fair territory, it's a fair ball and in play. So you better be able to catch it.
Of course, one of the tragic stories about, they called it at the time, the 8th wonder of the world, as Mesoraco swings and misses for strike 3, and that'll be the 4th strikeout. Lee May used to tell the story all the time about, you know, when the Astrodome first started, the panels up top were clear, and guys would have a really hard time seeing the ball. And so they decided during an off season to paint all those panels, replace those panels with a darker color surface, and they had a terrible, terrible tragedy where one of the workers working on the Astrodome roof fell and died. And Lee May was actually in the ballpark a couple of days later, and I was talking to a couple of the workers who were there. It was awful. That was a story that Lee would tell, and you could tell even 35, 40, 50 years later still troubled him deeply. Two away in the inning for Jose Peraza. He popped up on the first pitch of his first at bat. And he pops this one up. Kane waving off Braun, and a perfect inning. That's the first 1-2-3 inning of the night for Junior Guerra. Was $12. We'll have the big fireworks Friday. We have a Super Saturday featuring that Eugenio Suarez bobblehead. We'll have our family Sundays thanks to Klosterman Bakery. For tickets, visit Reds.com. A few Reds fans sprinkled in and around this very, very good crowd for a Tuesday night. Well, we talked about it briefly last night, but well, the fans here have to be so grateful. And of course, you know, taxpayers' dollars help build this ballpark, but to make the decision to spend extra money, and it's a lot of extra money, but to spend extra money to put on this retractable roof, what a decision it was. Of course, the only team inside the National League Central that plays regardless of weather conditions, the Milwaukee Brewers. And really all the ballparks that have those, as you get a look at the shift put on against Eric Thames, Peraza actually threw him out ranging far to his left his first time up. No score as we open the last of the 4th inning. Good pitch there. 94 miles per hour on the inside corner. And Romano's third strikeout.
Those are the kind of two-seam fastballs that Sal Romano featured in Goodyear that really got the attention of everybody. You know, he came into camp thinking he was one of the guys who was going to get a really good long look at being a starting pitcher. He stuck with it, and he threw the ball extremely well. Nice little comeback action. You know, even the slow motion really doesn't give you the real feel of how difficult that pitch is to pick up out of Romano's hand and the action on the pitch.
Straight up in the air. I mean, these Brewers are coming out swinging early and often. That's the 40th pitch of the night for Romano.
Well, you throw strikes early on, and that's exactly what happens.
Number 2 hitter strikes out. Number 3 hitter pops up. Here comes the cleanup hitter Shaw, who popped up to the left fielder Adam Duvall his first time up. Apparently the weather is good enough. It has to be brutal at Wrigley Field in Chicago tonight. That's a very short drive from here in Milwaukee. Splinters everywhere as that ball's hit off the end of Shaw's bat. And I mean, the bat boy is right there right now to give him a new one. Good work by the bat boy.
Guys, see this happen here, and the ball or the bat just shattering into a bunch of toothpicks. What about the home run that Bryce Harper hit?
Yeah.
And the barrel of the bat went completely off the handle. He carried the handle halfway, and there were a lot of people wondering about that. You know, maybe it's time to do something about the bats in this game, that they've already been regulated in college and in high school. And I mean, you break a bat off in your hand, the ball goes out of the ballpark. That's kind of unfair to pitchers. He's off to a pretty good start. Bryce is. Free agent year.
And that's a big decision the Nationals have to make. That is a big, 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 big decision. And look, there's no right answer or wrong answer on that. It's always easy for, you know, those of us in the media or even fans to try and tell other people how to spend their money. But you have to find a way to put a roster together of 25 players. And as great as he is, he tips the scales. Here's that home run swing last night where the bat snaps just above his hands. And the ball still sails into the seats. That is hard to believe. There's ball 4 to Travis Shaw on a 3-2 pitch.
You know, about that Bryce Harper free agency, Tom, it's not only the decision of the Washington Nationals. That's also Bryce Harper.
Sure, sure.
And it may be even a more difficult decision for him than it will be for the ball club.
As many of you know, Harper is a born and raised Las Vegas native. You don't know if that ever comes into, you know, you're thinking you want to play somewhere out west, maybe closer to where he grew up. Fastball inside to Santana. This is only the second batter in the game where Romano has had a pitch out of the stretch.
Yeah, and the first time he did, the very first pitch he threw to the backstop. He just kind of muscled up a little bit. Both batters who have reached first base have done so after 2 outs.
Santana grounded out to the third baseman Pennington his first time up. Each team with a hit, neither team with a run. The Reds have left 4. The Brewers have stranded just 1. Boy, what a pitch that was. Inside corner, knee high. Bang.
It's a good place to pitch that big guy because he likes to hit it to right, center, and center field. Likes the ball out over the dish. They're going to go right back in there.
And tied him up. Shaw is absolutely zero threat to run.
Although he did steal 10 last year. Of course, some of those may have been back end of double steals or surprise attacks.
Yeah, especially when you see the lead he's taking now. I mean, he's not more than, there you see, 2 steps, maybe 3 off the bag. Two balls, 2 strikes on Domingo Santana. Got him swinging bottom, fell out of that pitch.
Nice.
4 strikeouts for the big fella.
Chuck Harmon became the first African-American to appear in a regular season game for the Reds when he pinch hit in the 7th inning in a game right here in Milwaukee at County Stadium against the Milwaukee Braves in 1954. Harmon played 3 years for the Reds, mainly at third base and left field. And when you roll into the Reds Urban Youth Academy in Roselawn, statue of the great Chuck Harmon.
Truly one of the most beautiful people you will ever meet in your life. Every time you see him, what a beautiful, beautiful man. The Reds have just made a trade as Cliff Pennington starts things here in the inning. The Reds have acquired from the Los Angeles Dodgers minor leaguers, a right-hander, Zach Neal, and bear with me on the pronunciation of this first baseman, Ibandel Isabel, in exchange for right-handed pitcher who we've seen in the big leagues the last year or so, Ariel Hernandez, who on Friday was designated for assignment when the Reds promoted Dylan Floro. Neal will be sent to Class AAA Louisville. Isabel will be sent to Class A Dayton. Neal has actually pitched 1 game for the major league club, the Dodgers, this year. 1 inning, 2 hits and a run. He had started 2 games for their AAA team. He's 29 years old. Isabel has spent this season at the much lower level in the Dodgers chain at Single-A Rancho Cucamonga. Pennington gone on strikes. That's 5 of them for Guerra. No score as the pitcher Romano will bat with 1 out here in the 5th inning.
Isabel, Tom, is a younger of the guys that the Reds got, and they say he has the type of power. He's a big, tall first baseman, 6'4", 6'5" tall. But the type of power of, from what I'm reading, Giancarlo Stanton. Now, he doesn't center it up as much. They say he has hit the ball many times over 450 feet. So.
And how old is Mr. Isabel?
Well,
do you have that information in front of you?
Put it on another screen at this point.
All right, my bad. All right, so the Reds move Ariel Hernandez out of the organization. We certainly wish him well. One ball, 2 strikes on Romano. And Guerra delivers, sharply hit, but right to Sogard for the 2nd out here in the 5th. April in the OHIO continues as this series continues. We'll wrap it up tomorrow afternoon. Reds Live, our coverage begins at 1. Our game coverage at 1:30 here on Fox Sports Ohio, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. April in the OHIO is presented by Menards. You start chanting OHIO up here, and you'll get some nasty looks. This is Badger country through and through. They love their Wisconsin Badgers. You and I were talking on the way over here as it's ball 1 to Billy Hamilton. They're expecting another 2 to 4 inches of snow here tomorrow. They're talking about another 8 inches of snow in Green Bay, which would mean 41 inches of snow in Green Bay within a 5-day time frame. But I bring up Wisconsin because you and I were discussing, many may not know, but the University of Wisconsin, one of the richest, most powerful, most successful Division I athletic programs, does not have a baseball team. And you were telling me the story about the former Milwaukee manager Ned Yost. His son, when he played high school baseball here, they couldn't play any games this time of year, so they were playing in, would you say, July?
Yeah.
A high school team. 2-1 account on Hamilton. Tried to bring that one with him. I mean, there's just no way this time of the year that, now look, they normally don't have this kind of snow on the ground this time of the year, but obviously very cold. You just can't get games in. Billy 0 for 2 is struck out and fouled out to third.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to have a major league team with a full complement of groundskeepers who can get the field under, cleaned up and ready to go, or you're playing under a roof like you are here. But what about all the minor league cities up here?
Sure. And there are a lot of them.
And they depend on every one of their games, attendance, concessions, and everything else, parking, to be able to get by every year. You lose a few games here and a few games there because of snow, and it really puts a cramp on you.
3-2 on Billy Hamilton with 2 down and nobody on. Scoreless game in the 5th inning here tonight. That one out of play. Down the left field line, and no one will catch up to that.
And of course, one of those teams the Brewers are very familiar with, the minor league teams that plays right up the road here, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. They're in Beloit, and that is just very close to Green Bay.
That's right around the Appleton, Wisconsin area.
I should say the Beloit Snappers are the Athletics. I want to say that the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers are They're way up there too.
Just pounding Billy with fastball after fastball after fastball in on his hands, and at least the last three he's been able to foul off.
And they're a member of the Midwest League,
Yeah.
which is the same league the Dayton Dragons play in.
Appleton, that's where they had a big paper mill, if I'm not mistaken, here, and have forever. It's a nice town. It's where all the visiting football teams stay when they come in to play the Green Bay Packers. They stay in Appleton, Wisconsin. 3-2 pitch again. Got him this time, pulled the string on him after all those fastballs. 6 strikeouts for Guerra. Nothing in Milwaukee. Gold Glove, and Billy Hamilton analyzes some of the runs he's created with his legs. Reds Weekly, presented by Miami Valley Gaming. That'll be Jeff Pecoro and our buddy Doug Flynn tomorrow night. No runs, 1 hit for the Reds. No runs, 1 hit for the Brewers. And this is a man who has that base hit. Eric Sogard shot a single into left field. Went to second on a wild pitch back in the Brewers' second inning. Romano barely breaking the 50 pitch mark through the front 4 here tonight. We'll face Sogard, Arcia, Nottingham. 6, 7, 8. 3-1. Well, obviously you're only midway through this one, but at 0-0 now, every batter, more so than a 3-0 game or 4-1 game, will start to take on a great deal of attention. See if Romano can make sure he's in a strike zone here to Sogard at 3-2. And he is, but it's fouled out of play. This guy doesn't strike out much. In fact, he walked 8 more times than he struck out a year ago. Lined hard, but Billy there, 1 out. What are you seeing from Romano tonight, Mr. Welsh? You predicted he'd have a big night.
Well, I thought he would. You know, Tommy, he's got so much talent, and it's just a matter of being able to control his body and control that heartbeat inside there. You get so fired up sometimes, you want to do so well. It's going to take over a period of time. It takes a 3-hour game to get from the beginning to end. And you can't get it all done in the first inning, but he is right on top of all of his pitches. Has only walked one. I like the way he's keeping the ball down.
Garcia backpedaling out of the way, and that thing almost snapped in there for strike one.
Wow, this is the part of the batting order. You bear down and you just put them away. 6, 7, and 8, and then you have the pitcher spot leading off next inning.
Garcia hit the ball right on the nose his first time up, but right at the Red shortstop. No two ways about it. Arcia will be up there hacking. There you see, we were talking about earlier. Got a heater over to the right. Guys trying to stay loose and stay warm out there. Jim Day reporting earlier how chilly it is due to those windows out around the bullpen area. Another sharply hit ball, and this time he finds the hole. Second hit for Milwaukee against Romano.
Arcia's got a big long swing, and I'm not sure if he's ever going to hit for a great average, but he swings the bat kind of like a whip. And the ball gets out of the outer part of the plate, and he's able still to barrel it up. Now he will steal a base on you. He has not stolen a base yet this year. He had 14 last season.
There's Nottingham. He had that roller out in front of the plate. The Romano made a nice play. You just saw the video of it a moment ago. Fastball low and in.
Well, that spot right there has been a really good spot for Sal Romano tonight. That was a sinker kind of bearing down and in against right-handers. That one just missed the corner.
Brewers actually have some action in their bullpen. A left-handed Jennings beginning to throw. Pitcher spot due up next. We saw Craig Counsell down 3-0 in the 5th last night after his starter Suter had gotten on quite a roll after some early troubles. And then the bullpen behind him gave up 6 runs in 1 inning.
And one of those bullpen guys got sent out today, but I got to tell you, you know, he's kind of thinking ahead. Counsell is, because if Nottingham gets a base hit right here, I mean, you're going to bring up your pitcher in a 0-0 ball game. What if it's 1st and 3rd? Would you let him swing away?
But as you frequently bring up, you know, the great unknown for so many managers is when you go to that bullpen. Do they have time to get 2 here? Well, he showed you that Nottingham runs pretty well, and the ball was so slowly hit. They were lucky to get an out with Peraza giving the glove flip. Because when you do that, oftentimes the ball tends to lift high into the air, and it almost cost him.
And unless you practice it a lot too, you can sometimes disguise it coming out of your glove. That ball was a little bit offline right there, and it took some concentration on the part of Scooter Gennett to make sure he had it.
And you know, the more you watch that replay, maybe that's the only way they get Arcia. So they get the out, and here's the pitcher who will bat with a runner at first and 2 out, Garrett. He popped up to the left fielder his first time up. Went around, strike 1. Brewers 2 hits, no runs. The Reds 1 hit. That was a Joey Votto single back in the 3rd inning with 2 outs and no runs. This should end the inning. What a start so far tonight for Sal Romano. 5 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball. Winker, Votto, Duvall coming up. this, really. You know, obviously down in Puerto Rico, the Indians are playing down there against Minnesota. A native son on an 0-2 pitch in the 5th inning. Francisco Lindor. How exciting that must be for him. I mean, how cool is that? That's a regular season game they're playing down there. His family, I'm assuming that's who that is that they kept going to, and the shots there. And Lindor celebrating in his homeland. Good stuff. He's some kind of player, man. Guy's a gamer. Did you ever play winter ball down there in Puerto Rico?
Sure did, yeah.
How'd you like it?
I liked it a lot. It was great. Lindor was born in Caguas. There's a team in Caguas. I played in Ponce, lived in San Juan. We drove basically the length of the island every day to get over to Ponce. Great little town. I just had a wonderful winter. You know, for a starting pitcher in winter ball, it's not bad. You pitch once a week.
And then what do?
Well, they have pina colada machines at the concession stands. That's all I'll say about that.
Enough said. Winker to lead it off in a scoreless game. (3-0) on Jesse Winker, who has walked and grounded to short. Nothing game. Reds have 1 hit, and that's a man who's coming up next, Joey Votto. And there's a 4-pitch walk to Winker to start in the 6th inning. Guerra had some control issues the first 2 innings. He walked 2 batters and hit a batter. But since then, he's been pretty flawless. Let's see if the Reds can make him pay after that leadoff walk. Reds 10 runs and 14 hits here last night. Votto has walked and singled. First pitch swinging down a strike. Ow.
Huh. That's pretty good self-control right there now.
Yes.
Wow. He rarely does that. He even, you know, he rarely pops it up in the infield for an out. I mean, so rarely. It may happen once a year. In fact, I think he went a couple of years one time without doing that. But even though he rarely hits it off his front foot, he still wears one of those little ankle protectors down there.
Nothing in 2 on Joey Votto. Winker thought about it, wisely gets back into first base. As the count is even now on Joey Votto, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, you've got to always be ready for it. I mean, you don't have to be a speedster to be a good base runner, but you do have to have your wits about you. Know when to take a secondary lead, be able to judge the ball coming off the catcher, how far it goes and how far you have to go. But if you don't anticipate a ball in the dirt, you're never going to advance on the marginal ones.
Talked last night about how Votto loves hitting in this ballpark. 74 games, a 345 better, but much better than that his last 17 games here. You go back to mid-August of 2016. He is a 410 batter in this ballpark. 2-2 pitch. Foul tipped into the mitt of the catcher Nottingham, and that's a 7th strikeout tonight for Junior Guerra.
Guerra is really having a night tonight. This is what they anticipated when they gave him the opening day starting job. I mean, you can't choke up much more than that, can you? You run out of pine tar, or you run into the pine tar.
He can't believe. He can't believe it.
It's a painful at bat for Votto. Doesn't like to strike out #1, and he already banged the ball off his front foot.
It looked like he just pulled his head off of that pitch a little bit. I think that was a pitch he really liked. And you could see the frustration from Votto going back to the dugout. Strike 1 to Adam Duvall. No question, Votto plays with that fire. But he's still hot down there. It's only the 3rd strikeout this year against a right-handed pitcher for Votto. Boy, is he hot.
Well, that's an amazing stat right there.
That's in 46 trips. One ball and 1 strike on Duvall, who's lined to center and struck out. I mean, look, the Reds might win this game, and Votto might end up hitting a 3-run home run to win it in the 8th or 9th inning. But spending any time around Joey Votto, that's a kind of at bat that'll keep him up very late at night. And you know, Jim Day, we've talked so frequently about his relationship with Joey Votto, and I can promise you Jim will be talking to him after the game about that tonight. 2-1 on Adam Duvall. Leadoff walk. Winker over at first. But a big strikeout of Votto by Guerra. Hooked foul. Look out down there. Jennings a left-hander, Jeffress a right-hander, getting ready in the Milwaukee bullpen. Guerra 88 pitches in the game. We're in the 6th. We said Travis Shaw wasn't a big threat to run. The same can certainly be said of Jesse Winker.
That's a nice pitch he spoiled right there. I mean, that's part of the secret to staying around in a bat long enough to get a hanger that you can drive into the seats. Guerra's thinking the same thing. He says, you know, I've got to make a pitch right here. 2-2 count. You don't really want to go 3-2.
You know, much was made in the offseason and everybody wanting to see Winker in the leadoff spot. And hey, that's certainly understandable. And he's backing it up with that on base percentage. On base 2 more times here tonight at .413 and that kind of thing. But you mentioned it the other night. It's going to take 2 hits to score Winker from first base. Unless, of course, you hit a home run and the rare triple. But a double is almost guaranteed not to score Winker.
Depends what kind of double it is, but
Yeah, it does.
you're right.
And, you know, you get into the whole Hamilton thing. I mean, here Winker, now he doesn't have as many at-bats because he's walked more frequently than Billy Hamilton. But in terms of scoring runs when you get on base, Hamilton scores a lot of runs.
Sure.
I mean, a guy hitting under 200 with an on-base percentage of barely over 300, and he has scored 12 runs. Winker has scored 3 runs.
Well, it's how often you're able to put yourself into scoring position.
Sure.
I think long term, if Jesse Winker is going to hit up near the top of the lineup, you're hoping that not only does he get on base, but he hits a fair amount of doubles and puts himself into scoring position.
That's why I still think, if Hamilton can make progress, and that's a big if, we know that. I still think this is the best batting order 1-2 with Winker in the 2-hole, where if Hamilton can get on, he can make some things happen, move along the base pass instead of having somebody, you know, sort of clogging him up.
Well, I think the big difference there with Winker in the number 2 spot is you have a hitter there who's willing to take a few pitches.
Sure.
And hit with 2 strikes on him, or hit with 1 strike on him, and I'm not so sure that Peraza's that guy right now in his career.
No.
Winker's much more savvy at the plate as far as going deep into the count.
No question. I mean, it would be an ideal situation if Hamilton could get on and have Winker batting behind him, and then Votto. 3-2 again on Duvall. High fly ball into left center field. That ball carries short of the wall. And back to first goes Winker.
Boy, got in on the hands just a little bit. Duvall got under it just a little bit. That combination kept it in the ballpark. Kind of jammed himself. It was a slider that he kind of just got his hands out a little too far.
That's going to be all for Guerra. He gets a hook. Working on a 1-hit shutout with 2 outs in the 6th inning. So be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. That's 2 good starts for Junior Guerra since coming up from AAA. Romano is still in the game. 5 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball, and in a 0-0 game. Look, the numbers tell you. You got the left-handed batting Scooter Gennett coming up. So out goes Guerra, and in comes the left-hander Jennings. Dan is celebrating his 31st birthday today. Happy birthday, Dan Jennings. Throwing the ball well. 2-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Opponents batting 179. Here's Jeanette.
Well, the numbers make sense on this particular matchup because Jennings has been awfully tough on lefties so far this year. He has given up 1 hit in 10 at-bats.
And only 1 walk. And if you're wondering about Scooter Jeanette against left-handers, he has 3 hits in 13 at-bats against the Southpaws. One of his hits is a double. Winker started the inning drawing a walk. Votto struck out, and then Duvall the fly ball to deep left center field for a second time in the game. 0-1 on Scooter Jeanette. That's a nice play made by the youngster Nottingham, making his first major league start.
Now, not only was it in the dirt, it was a breaking ball in the dirt. He didn't have much chance to get his body out there. That ball was so wide of the dish. Scooter against left-handers, when we've seen him have success, he just takes it right over the head of the third baseman. And that's where they're going to pitch him.
Two and one on Jeanette. Try to shoot it that way, as you were talking about, but out of play.
You know, as I remember it, and our producer Josh Hall brought it up, that sometimes we see some teams shifting on defensive shift on Scooter Jeanette, but against a left-handed pitcher, it really doesn't make as much sense because the breaking ball from a lefty will go away from Jeanette, and he will try to do what he just tried to do, which is slap it to left.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Jennings has a long pause once he comes to the belt. And just low to run the count full, so now Winker gets started.
It's really kind of interesting, really, the way Jennings does that. I mean, he's got a long pause every time. And then when he does get going, it's really herky-jerky.
You can see the home plate umpire every time is waiting for him to throw the ball. It actually will pop back up and wait for the see him moving around back there. He's been doing that the whole time. This guy holds the ball so long. Straight away center field. Kane waiting. Inning over. Leadoff walk. And the heart of the order goes down in order thereafter. Still no score. King James and the Cavs trying to even their series against Indiana from Quicken Loan Arena. Cavaliers live 6:30 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go April in the OHIO presented by Menards. You know, in the uber competitive world of what is known as sausage racing, take a look here at the turn. A trip. Even the front guy falls down. You know, that used to be a fun race, and now they have the guys that are wearing those things that are really trying to win the race now. It used to just kind of be they'd bump along and stay together. Now there's all-out sprints. They got athletes in those things now.
I thought it was pretty good. You know, as far as I'm concerned, they all qualified under the 5-second rule.
That's exactly right. Exactly
Still
right.
good to go, right?
Good to go. All right, top of the order here now. I mean, there's even, look at that, some blood on the left knee.
Might be a DL.
No, there are no China dolls in those sausage races. One of my favorite terms from our old buddy Chris Spielman. Spielman would love this guy. Look at the nose, dirtied up, smashed up, dented up, bleeding. That's Chris Spielman's kind of guy right there. All right, this is a big batter. Tucker Barnhart takes over behind the plate, replacing Devin Mesoraco. You hope that's not from maybe getting hit earlier, and that's a half swing. He didn't go around. So now you have walked a batter that is very much a base stealing threat. I mean, just think of the difference between walking Winker to start this inning, and that's no shot on Jesse. They're two totally different kind of players. But now all of a sudden, you walk Kane. He's 4 out of 5 in stolen base attempts. And look, let's be honest about it. Maybe Brian Price just decided, oh my goodness, Kane's going to end up advancing 90 feet. And he had not even taken a lead barely yet.
I'm not really sure what to think of the affinity for Romano to just continue to throw over to first base. I doubt if he's getting these messages from the dugout. I mean, he's actually on the base at the time.
Yep.
I mean, I would imagine that in the minor leagues, occasionally you're going to pick a guy off who's not paying attention. But it's been a long time since I've seen that up here.
And so especially a guy like Royds, okay.
And now you have Thames up, and Thames is a guy that likes to pull the ball. They shift on him. So he pulls the ball to the right side like he's supposed to do, and he gets a runner to third.
First pitch in the at bat to Thames, and it is launched. Winker will watch it fly. 2-0 Milwaukee.
That looks like the Eric Thames that came out of the chute last year against the Reds and just demolished the Reds when they were in the early part of the season at Great American Ballpark. Boy, he got a whole bunch of that one, did Eric Thames.
Thames hit 10 home runs last year, you may remember, against the Reds.
Reds have Amir Garrett, it appears, up in the Reds bullpen.
We had 14 runs scored by the two teams combined in the game last night. Not a single home run was hit. And you may remember in the season series between these two last year, 72 home runs were hit. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning, so still a ways to go in this one. Deep in the hole at short, no chance to get Braun even with a bad bat. Infield hit. And maybe Brian Price comes to get him. Although just 79 pitches.
Well, the pitches have nothing to do with it at this point. This is all about winning the ball game. And you know, sometimes weird things happen when you change catchers. And I'm in no way blaming Barnhart in any way, but you can look it up. When you've got a guy who's a starting pitcher, he's working great with Mesoraco, going, and all of a sudden, for some reason or another, you change your catcher here, and it's like changing horses in the middle of the stream. And I don't know whether that had any effect on Sal Romano. He pitched himself a whale of a ball game. But he leaves now, going to the dugout, down 2.
Two hits, no runs. A leadoff walk here in the 6th. A throwing error charged to Romano, and then the 2-run home run by Thames to make it a 2-0 game. And after a single by Braun, Brian Price comes to get Romano in favor of standout left-handed reliever so far this year. And that would be Amir Garrett.
Yeah, you can't do much better than what Amir has done so far. In his 6 games, basically dominating.
All of them in relief. 8 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts.
The only walk he's had was the very first outing he had. That was against Washington.
Garrett worked most recently a perfect 8th inning on Sunday. And then pitched to 2 batters in the 9th inning. Falling behind 3-0 on Travis Shaw.
You know, the Reds came out the other day in an interview with Dick Williams about, you know, a couple of things, including Amir Garrett and will he be in the rotation. He's throwing the ball. He was in the rotation last year, throwing the ball really well now. And they said, well, we're really in no hurry. We want to have him experience success here as a reliever. And I am really right on board with that, because I think the bullpen, it's kind of a throwback strategy for the Reds. It's what they used to do back in the old days, when you would get your apprenticeship out of the bullpen and then you'd earn your way into the starting rotation from there.
3 balls and a strike on Shaw. Base hit right field. Braun will drop anchor at second base. 4 straight Milwaukee Brewers reaching to start this 6th inning. 2 of them have scored, and Santana's coming up.
That's a pretty good pitch that he hit right there. I mean, it was down around shin high. He got a break. Garrett did by the 3-0 pitch being a little bit below the zone, but being rung up as a strike. This one is even lower. And Shaw hits it on the ground, but finds a hole. Reds have been pitching this guy, Domingo Santana, inside all night, trying to take that power away.
Strike 1 on the inside corner indeed. Sinks away from the right-handed batter. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The changeup.
After falling behind Shaw, Garrett has done the same to Santana. 3-1. Big, huge swing from the big man, and he comes up empty. And this next pitch really feels like an important pitch in this game. I mean, you're living right on the edge. If you load the bases here with nobody out, already down a pair. See if Garrett can make a pitch. Through a strike.
Well, he's throwing the ball by Santana right now. Santana barely getting around in time to foul that ball straight back. The pitch before that, he was really late on. But the more you see that fastball in a similar spot, the more you're able to make the adjustment.
And there's another one. Another fastball, 94, a little more hair on that one.
And a little bit more of adjustment on the part of Santana. So the first one he swings and misses. The second one he fouls straight back. And that one he's now foul but down the right field line.
But does a young pitcher like Garrett have confidence in the changeup here on a 3-2 count with nobody out?
It's what Barnhart deems his confidence where it will be.
One hopper. They'll have to hurry. Jeanette turns it over, and they get a much-needed double play. Oh, my. Well done by Peraza and Jeanette. And, of course, Garrett.
When all else fails, let your defense do some work out there. That's a nice play. Good feed by Peraza. And a turn to get Santana. That was a much-needed double play, as you said. I like that.
All right, so it'll be Sogard with a runner at third. 2 outs now. Lefty against lefty here. Looping breaking ball snaps in there, a strike. Strike two. Another 3-2 count. Sogard is single to left field and lined out to center. Inning started with a walk to Kane, then a home run by Thames. 0-0 when this inning began. 3-2 on Sogard. Got him on a breaking ball to end the inning. What a job by Garrett. He gives up a hit, but then gets a double play and a strikeout. Reds will bat in the 7th, trailing by 2.
Make Great American Ballpark your family day destination Sunday, May 6th, thanks to Klosterman Bakery. Fathead, thanks to Ace Hardware. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Scott Schebler again rehabbing with AA Pensacola. They're playing in Mississippi. And the plan was to have him play a full 9 innings, which would be a first tonight. And Brian Price didn't rule out the possibility of him being here tomorrow, although it is an early game here in Milwaukee, so that might be an outside shot. If all goes well tonight, you can book it that he'll be in St. Louis after the off day.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very much. And a base hit by Barnhart up the first base line. And he will head to second base. Here comes the throw way offline, and a nice way to get it started for Tucker Barnhart against this new pitcher for the Brewers to begin the 7th inning.
Well, what a nice bit of hitting right there. I mean, he's trying to do that. Maybe not right inside the line, but he's trying to take it to right field off the lefty. And that will be all for the lefty.
And now Craig Counsell is going to come get the pitcher. Jeffress, who came on, or Jennings to replace, I beg your pardon, Guerra. And now he'll bring in Jeffress, the hard-throwing right-hander.
and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
2-0 ball game, but a leadoff double for Tucker Barnhart here in the Reds' 7th inning. This guy's had good success when he's pitched here for the Milwaukee Brewers. Jeremy Jeffress.
And he's pitched here 3 different times in his career. He was drafted first round by the Brewers, came up at that point, then left, came back, left again, and came back.
He's a very young man. He had a lot of off the field issues early in his career. Hopefully some of those things are behind him now.
Yeah, he was 1 failed drug test away from being banned for life. And now 30 years old, and he's had a very nice major league career.
Yes, he has. Jose Peraza, the batter, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know what Peraza's got to do right here. He knows what he should have to do right here. That's getting Barnhart over to third base. Even if it's a 2-run game, you don't expect to get 2 of them all at one time. You get what you can. Play the odds by getting that man to third.
Broken bat, 1 out. Boy, he just sawed Peraza off there. 92 in on the hands.
Jeffress is always thrown hard. He just bores this ball right in on the hands.
Cliff Pennington, the batter. Pennington 0 for 2. A fielder's choice and a strikeout. Phil Gosselin stands in the on-deck circle. He would bat for Amir Garrett. Jarrett Hughes, meanwhile, warms up the former Brewer in the Cincinnati bullpen. 2-0 Brewers. We are in the 7th inning. One ball, 1 strike. Well, these relievers have come in for both teams. Garrett did a good job, but every batter he faced went to a full count. And some of these relievers having a hard time getting the ball over the plate. 2-1 on Pennington. Jeffress staring in, getting a sign. The okay from Nottingham. Barnhart, the runner at second base. Slow breaking ball to even the count. It's where you've really seen Jeffress mature as a pitcher. He used to just be everything hard, and now as he's gotten older, certainly more to his arsenal than just the heat.
Funny how that works.
Yep.
It's Phil Gosselin on deck, nearly got picked off.
Reds fans are giving him an earful back there.
They put that screen in the wrong spot.
Gosselin's a guy who's quick to smile. He's a real pleasant guy. Breaking ball and another full count.
Well, I think for Jeffress, Tom, when you talk about the change in repertoire, it's also necessitated by the fact that he's lost a little bit of velocity on that fastball. So how do you adjust to stay in the major leagues? Throw your breaking ball more, and including in that breaking ball is a split finger.
Hook to the right side, and Sogard will get there. This throw almost pulled the first baseman off the bag, but able to keep theirs, Thames. And on to third goes Barnhart. 2 outs in the inning.
Pretty nice footwork down there by Thames. Thames is a big guy, but he's very agile.
I mean, he's a good athlete. You know, he's a 20-20 guy when he was playing overseas. 20 or more home runs, 20 or more stolen bases. Big, strong fellow. Look at those forearms. He looks like he ought to be suiting up in green and gold at Lambeau during the offseason. Look at those arms. Here's Goslin. In there, strike one. Reds batting in the 7th inning. They got a leadoff walk to Winker in the 6th. He never moved. As Votto, Duvall, and Jeanette were retired in consecutive at-bats after the walk. And then the Brewers took advantage of the walk. A leadoff walk to Lorenzo Cain after a throwing error by Romano. Thames hit a 2-run home run, and that's where we stand. 0-2 on Goslin. It for Goslin. Leadoff double. Runner left at second base. At third base to end the inning. Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. An afternoon till tomorrow. Reds Live gets underway at 1 o'clock. We invite you to join us. And then our game coverage will begin Eastern time at 1:30. Tyler Mahle against Zach Davies. Davies off to a poor start this year. There you get a look at Tyler Mahle. Tomas Vera taking over on the mound. Saturday made his season debut with a perfect 7th and 8th innings. The 18th pitcher to appear in a game already for the Reds this year is Dylan Floro. Prior to this season, he's made 15 major league appearances, all in relief, 12 games in 16 for Tampa Bay, and then 3 games for the Cubbies a year ago. Arcia pops it up over near the stands, and 4 or 5 rows out of play. Arcia, Nottingham, and then Jeffress, a scheduled hitter. Right now, there's no activity, although the Brewers had their stallion left-hander down there getting loose in the bullpen at the end of the top of this inning. Josh Hader, what a year he's having. Holy Moses, we saw him last year. There was talk about making him into a starter.
That's a very intriguing thing. You know, it seems like every team has a player, a pitcher like that, who coming up out of the minor leagues, you know, you think, boy, this guy can really help us right now in the bullpen. But then when you see him up here and he dominates the way he can, then you think, well, why would we make him a starter? A la Chapman, Hader, Iglesias.
A hit off the tip of Pennington's glove and trickles into left field. Arcia has his second hit of the game.
Wouldn't have mattered. Pennington had the only shot at him, really, because if Peraza, the shortstop, feels it that deep in the hole, from a backhand standpoint, stops and then comes up and throw, Arcia really can run down the line. So the Brewers get the leadoff hitter for the second time in 2 innings.
Brewers had 2 hits through the front 5. They have 4 hits through the last inning and 1 batter. They had 4 base runners in that 6th inning. Reds fortunate, thanks to the tidy work of Amir Garrett, that only 2 of them would score. And of course they scored on the home run by Thames. The Reds have a total of 2 hits tonight, one by Votto in the 3rd, and the double in that top of the 7th inning. Boy, you would love to have seen the Reds at the minimum come away with a run after the leadoff double by Barnhart. Cut this thing in half, but not to be. Jesus Aguilar. We referred to Santana as the big fella earlier. Aguilar is the big fella. Arcia without a stolen base attempt. Chris talked about it earlier, but he'll be a guy that, you know, as his career progresses and learns more about the pitchers around the league, he'll probably be a 15 to 20 steal guy a year. He's got a huge lead. Floro keeping an eye on him. 0-2 on Nottingham. There's a flame-throwing left-hander, Hader. He has pitched, if you can believe this, so far this year. He's pitched just 2 outs above 9 full innings and has punched out 22 batters.
Wow.
And that is tied for the major league lead.
That was the oldest Chapman stratosphere right there.
We saw him last year. He ran out of gas at the end of the year. But after they brought him up for about a 4-month run, he was almost unhittable.
Well, it's going to be tempting, I think, for Craig Counsell to use him an awful lot now. Corey Knebel, their closer, is out for quite a long time.
Yeah, he delivered a pitch and injured his hamstring. Well, it's so funny how, you know, you get into these games and relievers start coming into the game, and then all of a sudden batters who showed 0 patience in the first 5 or 6 innings of a game now show extraordinary patience. We have had, this is now the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th full count since relief pitching came into this game.
Well, the pitchers are rewarding the patience with the patience at the plate by throwing the ball out of the strike zone. wonder if they may just put him in motion right here on a 3-2 count. Figuring Floro may not be a big strikeout guy.
They do. And it's deep in the hole. It's short. Peraza the throw. Nice pick by Votto. That's really nicely done on both ends. And I tell you, here over about the last 8 or 10 games, Peraza is really playing well at shortstop.
He's picked his game up, definitely, Tom. You're right about that. This is a great play. Because the timing of it especially. I mean, you don't get a runner right here. You got first and second and nobody out, and the number 9 hitter coming up. Nice pick. That's a good grab out of the dirt.
Now Aguilar comes up there to bat for Jeffers, who works a perfect inning. Sounded like he, no, apparently didn't break his bat.
That ball was about 3 inches off his chest.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm not sure who wins the bicep contest in the Brewers.
No doubt.
But they have a table full of heavyweights.
Straight into center field. Hamilton comes in to get it. Runner's not going anywhere. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
All right, so 2 away now for Floro, after retiring Nottingham and Aguilar. Top of the order, Lorenzo Cain. Cain drew that walk to lead off the 6th inning. Advanced to second on a throwing error by the pitcher Romano, and then would score the game's first run on the 2-run home run by Thames. The only scoring in this game so far tonight. And this crowd has been completely lulled to sleep. And it's interesting because the Brewers have had more base runners than they've had all night long in the last 2 innings. But between the pitchers rubbing up the baseball, walking around the mound, umpires a little more reluctant once you get to later in games and big situations to sort of clap their hands and get batters into the batter's box. Things really slow down. Long look in by Floro. Now the OK. Runner at second. And a 1-2. 2-2. Thames a home run an inning ago. Two and 2 on Lorenzo Cain. This will be an infield hit all the way. They remember Thames last year in the month of April hit 8 home runs against the Reds. He hit 10 for the year, but 8 of them came in April. And you look all time, the most home runs versus any opponent in a single month in the history of baseball. That is tied with the Bambino, Willie Stargell, and Darren Johnson. Bryce Harper is the only player in baseball with more home runs in the month of April than Thames has had the last 2 years. And we're barely midway through April 2018. It's a huge batter in the game. Ball 1 to Thames. Floro just brought up on Friday. Pitched in 2 games. Scoreless 3 innings for AAA Indianapolis, and then he replaced, or AAA Louisville, then he replaced Tanner Rainey. Thames trying to make it a 5-0 game with that big swing. And yet another full count. Three balls, 2 strikes. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. We'll do it again. Popped up. Now the Reds have the shift on, so there's time for Duvall to get there, and that'll end the inning. Well done by Floro. Reds will bat in the 8th. 2-0 ball game, Milwaukee in front.
go to their bullpen to bring in a hard-throwing, very efficient Josh Hader, 6'3", young man that originally drafted by the Orioles and had a tremendous year last year and following up with another one this year.
We're being told that Devin Mesoraco left the game because of a bruised right wrist from getting hit in his first plate appearance in the second inning tonight by Guerra. X-rays negative. That's great news. So hopefully Devin's going to be okay. He's been hit twice in the last 2 starts. Billy Hamilton to lead it off, quickly behind 0-2. Not only does Hader have the most strikeouts among all relievers in baseball, this early in the year he ranks among the overall strikeout leaders among National League pitchers. And yet he has only pitched a little more than 1 full game. 29 outs. Give him another one.
You know, if you look only at the numbers, and I'm talking about the velocity of the pitch usage and the types of pitches that Hader throws, I mean, his stuff doesn't jump out at you. It's nowhere near a Roland Chapman as far as his velocity. In fact, it's less than 95 miles per hour, his average fastball. But he's got a very good slider, and the way he throws, he just kind of jumps at you. All arms and legs going all different ways.
So you got to give it up to these fans here in Milwaukee. And look, they're the beneficiaries, as we've been talking already, you know, the last couple of days, about knowing you're going to play, you're not going to sit around in a rain delay because of the roof. But this is really becoming, and Chris, you and I were talking about this yesterday, this is becoming one of the better baseball cities in America. They have 31,345 fans here tonight, a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Very cold.
During school.
Yeah.
And with snow in the forecast.
Absolutely. They're expecting 2 to 4 inches in the greater Milwaukee area tomorrow. But the last number of years, they have really put them in this ballpark regularly.
Good place to get away from cabin fever.
Better believe it. 2-1 on Winker. 2-2 on Winker.
The other pitch that Hader throws besides that fastball, and he's actually a mile per hour less this year on his fastball than he was last year, is a slider. He'll throw that about every 3rd pitch or so. And I imagine Winker's about to get one right here. Nope, got the heater.
Two now on Winker. Hader okays a sign with his catcher Nottingham, making his first big league start tonight. Lifted into left field. Looked like Braun was battling the lights on that one a little bit. 2 down in the inning. The Brewers have been shut out 3 times this year. They have not pitched a shutout so far this year. And now Votto, who walked his first time up. He had a bases empty 2-out single in the 3rd inning, and then after a leadoff walk to Winker in the 6th, Junior Guerra struck him out. Showed you the frustration shown by Votto in the Reds dugout after that strikeout. 2-0. just off the outside point. Hader's really nibbling around here in this at bat with Votto. He's got a 2-run lead with an out, 2 outs here in the 8th. Came back with a 3-1 fastball there to get a strike. Let's see here. 3-2. What's going to happen? Is Hader going to come after him with a gas? Yes, he does. Two more strikeouts for Hader. Wow.
By John Morrell. For as low as $12, you can see all the action. For tickets, visit Reds.com. David Hernandez, offseason acquisition for the Reds. We've yet to see his Reds debut, and they could sure use him in the bullpen. He did throw a simulated game here in Milwaukee today. 25 pitches of facing live hitters through the whole arsenal: fastball, breaking ball, changeup. And he said he felt great, but the telltale sign always how he feels tomorrow. If he feels okay, I would believe next would be a rehab stint. So much, much closer to making his debut.
Reds could use him.
Meanwhile, though, Dylan Floro is throwing the ball extremely well. Interesting to watch him pitch. We didn't really get to see a whole bunch of him in spring training. I didn't anyway, but he's a right-hander that throws across his body, and tough for right-handers to pick up that slider. There it is again. Young man that came out of Cal State Fullerton.
Guy just looking for a chance to continue his career. Only pitched in 3 games, as we mentioned, in the major leagues last year, and the last one was in July of last year with the Cubbies against the Pirates. Go on to be followed by Sean Santana. They're looking ahead of the Reds' 9th. It'll be Duvall, Jeanette, and Barnhart. Foul out of play. Just received very sad news a few minutes ago about the passing of Barbara Bush, the wife of George H.W. Bush, 41st President of the United States, First Lady, of course, of the United States. Her son, George W. Bush, the 43rd President. Another son, Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida. Just an extraordinary life, extraordinary woman, did so much for so many good people, in our thoughts and prayers. And many in Cincinnati knew her and knew her well. They came to Cincinnati a lot, that family. Two on Braun.
Well, that family also was regulars on Fox Sports Ohio when the Astros were in the National League. The Bushes were in attendance and in the front row all the time.
All the time. Love
right
baseball.
Plate.
Of course, George W. Bush was a part owner of the Texas Rangers, but his dad still alive. Huge baseball fan. And Barbara was right there with him seemingly every time we saw him on television. Boy, I tell you, the pitching, the nibbling is just, it's mind-boggling almost. You get ahead 0-2, you get ahead 1-2, and then now you got to make a pitch to a good hitter.
Another slider coming up.
Wow. That's just tough luck for Floro right there. That'll be a sliding double for Ryan Braun. He couldn't have rolled it out there better than that.
Well, I can't call the double by Tucker Barnhart good hitting and not give the same compliment to Ryan Braun, although he didn't look like he was trying to shoot the ball the other way, at least not down the line with that swing. But he did get a steady diet of pitches on the outer part of the plate, was able to get one on the ground past the first baseman, and that's an insurance run out there.
And that's all for Floro. Cody Reed will be coming into the game to replace him. We're back in a minute.
Three games so far this year. One was a start in Philadelphia, the last couple out of the bullpen. One was last night. So I like to see guys that had a little trouble come right back in the next night. He's getting an opportunity right here against Travis Shaw.
He faced one batter last night. That was a switch hitting VR, and VR got a base hit against him. Now he faces the left-handed batting Shaw. And apparently the rest of this inning is going to belong to Cody Reed in a 2-0 game with nobody out in the 8th inning. Straight up in the air, and this will take care of Shaw. 1 out. So a good first step here for Cody.
Yep. He's pinch running.
That's in the air to right. This will stand a yard. Caught by Winker. Perez will advance on to third base, but Cody Reed has come in and gotten 2 quick outs. He's got 1 more to go.
Well, the out that he got at Travis Shaw was huge right there, because with nobody out, you have a runner at second base, and if Shaw gets him to third, that fly ball plates a run. So he's got a chance right here to keep this in a 2-0 ball game.
Quick pitch to get ahead, strike 1 on Sogard.
Yeah, interesting if really Sogard meant to bunt, or was he just faking it?
Pulled to the right side, and now Reed ahead. Be a nice confidence boost for Cody Reed here. If he could come in there and with a runner at second and nobody out, come into a game.
Well, it would help his confidence, and it would help the confidence of Brian Price.
Well said.
A lot of sliders.
There's some guys, though, that, you know, you can entice more than other guys. Sogard, not to say he won't chase one on a lefty-lefty matchup, but he's a pretty disciplined guy up there. Now he did go after that one, and that's it.
That's a good one there.
Yeah, good one there. All right, here we go in the ninth. Duvall to start it.
He is really good. He did not give up a run. He went 7 strikeouts at 5 2/3 before Craig Counsell went out to get him. But Sal Romano on a hill for the Reds. He had it working. Sal did.
Romano with the front 5, allowing 2 hits and no runs, and then after a walk in the 6th inning to Lorenzo Cain, the only runs we've had in the game. The 2-run home run by Marcus Thames. That has been the only home run hit in the first 2 games of this series. Ball 1 to Adam Duvall as we open the ninth. Reds have 2 hits tonight. One by Votto, a single in the 3rd, and then Barnhart in his only trip to the plate at a double up the first base line in the 7th. Duvall tonight 0 for 3. Line to center, struck out, and hit a fly ball all the way to the wall in left center, but it was caught his last time up.
I'll tell you what Hader does very effectively. He elevates his fastball. Hernan Perez takes over and left. First pitch he throws to Duvall down around the knees. The next one is up around the letters. He knows Duvall likes him up, but he just puts it a little bit higher than where Duvall can handle it. Going to come up again.
Yep, Duvall makes contact, but that's hard to get on top of that. And it's out number 1.
Well, that's really going to the hitter's strength, giving him what he's looking for, but maybe just a hair beyond his comfort zone.
The pitchers of record in this one are Jennings, celebrating his 31st birthday today. And he came in to get the final out in the 6th inning when he retired this man, Scooter Gennett. And then in the bottom of the 6th inning is when the Brewers got a 2-run home run by Thames. So on his birthday, the only out he recorded could earn him, unless the Reds can get it rolling here with 1 out in the 9th inning, a win. Ball and 1 strike on Scooter Gennett. One and 2. Scooter 0 for 3, a pair of fly balls to center and a pop up to the second baseman. Breaking ball swung on and missed, and the Reds are down to their final out of the night. 3rd strikeout of the 5 batters Tater has faced since coming into the game. Tucker Barnhart. And the 31,345, those still here, will come to their feet. And that ball is smashed down the left field line, and that will one-hop the wall. And how about Barnhart? He's come off the bench here and has a pair of doubles. One up the first base line, the other down the left field line, and now at least a tying run can come to the plate for the Reds here in the top of the 9th inning.
Well, the way he's hitting the ball, and it's just not tonight. I mean, it's been on it seemingly every time he gets a start, which is most of the time. I mean, he can say goodbye forever at that number 8 spot in the lineup.
Jose Peraza, the batter. In the air, right center field, and that's that. Reds get 3 hits. Great pitching tonight by the Brewers. Garrett, Jennings, Jeffress, Pater. Pater gets his 2nd save in a 2-0 final, so there will be a rubber game of this series tomorrow. We're back in a minute.